5 minutes.
Your awareness may be powerful enough to control your instincts. Your instinct will be to remove your hand from the box.
It's your girl Meesh, and welcome to another episode of the LUV MEESH Podcast. Another episode of the LUV MEESH Podcast. On today's episode, after 2 years, partially my fault, we are finally doing a podcast episode with Mama Bear, Mama Meesh. I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode. I have been dying to do this podcast, and I'm so excited that we are finally able to do it. I have some pre-scripted questions for Mom, and we're just going to go over those questions and just let her answer however Spirit leads. And we are going... Oh, wait. I will let her introduce herself. So, Mama Bear, let everybody know your name, how we met, and then we'll get into the episode.
Hello, everybody. I am Darlene, Jamisha's mom. We met in my womb. She's my special child, one of a kind, my only toodaloo. Lately, she is Sunflower Rosemary.
Absolutely. All right, so we are going to get into the podcast episode. So I did part 1 where I read the poem. Mom actually heard the podcast and she just loved it. I had tears in her eyes. So now we are going to follow up with her questions. And if you haven't heard, you can go back and listen to Papa Bear. This is going to be Mama Bear. And then we'll have a bonus episode with the both of them. All right. So, first question. How did you do it? How did you do it? I guess there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, let's unpack
what tools you were given, and the relationship that you grew, and the titles that you have. How did you do it? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I need to back up.
Okay.
To unpack that statement.
Okay.
I'm also a mother of 4.
Yes.
A bonus daughter.
Yes.
And I'm also a wife.
Yes.
Plenty too many.
Yes.
Second moms to a lot.
Yes.
Of girls.
Uh-huh.
So now let's unpack that.
Thank you.
Well, I guess there's nothing to it but to do it. My journey started at around 10 years old.
Yes.
With my older sister being pregnant, teen mom, and back then it was just a given. Family was, all you had. So it was just a given. If anybody had a struggle or a challenge, it was just a given that the whole family was going to pitch in.
Absolutely.
And you just play your role.
Right.
So that was my first step into second momhood, or first momhood, raising my nephew.
At 10, okay.
And at 11, adding a niece to the mix. So responsibility, I've had that for a long time. Yeah. I was the youngest of 6, and I found God at a young age, and that was my refuge. I would get up on Sunday mornings. Thank God my church was just around the corner, well, like catty-corner to where I live. And I would get up, get myself dressed, and go to church, because if I didn't know anything else, I knew that God would protect me, or that's who I can go to. So I credit a lot with my faith.
There you go.
My belief in God, strengthening me and giving me the knowledge of how to do it. And just every year, or years, another niece or nephew came. Just more responsibilities. Back then your mom worked.
Yeah.
We was latchkey kids. Stay at home. Yeah. Nobody knew you was there because you didn't make all that noise. You didn't answer the phone at the doors.
Okay.
So being responsible, I think, played a lot in it. So fast forward after, raising nieces and nephews, by the time we had our first, we was kind of like pros at that time.
Yeah.
And I was a teen mom, so my mom and sister stepped in and was the village so that I can still go to school and play sports.
Absolutely. So, you didn't miss out.
That was my help in that aspect. And teen mom, still in school.
Yeah.
Father and I, James is her father. My boyfriend being husband still now.
Absolutely.
We just did what we had to do back then to make it work. He took his turn, I took my turn, and we made it work.
Together.
Fast forward to our second child. He was married and on our own. And that's when life got real.
Oh, okay.
We moved away from the village.
Yeah,
so we kind of had to start learning
a little more responsibilities
on the fly.
Yeah.
How to handle this or how to handle that.
Gotcha.
And also, we still in the faith. My church family played a big role.
Oh yeah. We grew up there.
Sermons, and we had the older women in the church.
Yes.
That would help us young women. Back then you can go to them to get counseling and just little secrets and tidbits on parenting and how to be a good wife, mother. So I attribute it to I had the village.
Yes.
I had the village surrounding me, and we just did it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I just want to comment on that. I think the village has kind of died down a little bit. I don't think it's what it used to be. Maybe we rely on social media or internet too much more. More so than what y'all had back then, maybe as times change. Because was it daycare really popular back then? Now we drop them on off daycare. I think it was more, like you said, the tribe back then. Okay, so next question. However deep or light or however you feel to answer is perfectly fine. And if you don't understand it, I'll try to give it differently. Why did your story differ from your mom's?
My story different from...
And I know everybody's story is going to be different. So not to say that. It has to be because we're all different.
I think the main difference between my family's and my husband and I's journey is growing up, I guess that would go back to the previous question. We didn't have the role models to show us as far as relationship, positive relationships, how a man's supposed to treat a woman, what's the woman's role or part or contribution in the marriage or relationship. So we kind of knew like what not to do or what we didn't want, and we just used that as the foundation of what our relationship, marriage, life, and family would look like.
Yeah.
So we kind of like just figured it out as we went along. Nowadays, you got all these self-help books, you got podcasts, you got conferences that you can go to.
Yeah.
But we kind of like just figured it out as we went along, from the church and our moral standards and compasses, what we would or wouldn't do.
Okay, so I think maybe y'all paved the way for us. Because it's y'all that are the gurus or the ones holding the ceremonies and stuff like that to tell us how y'all got to 30 years. So y'all had to tread through the mud to be able to give us those jewels so that we could go further. So thank you. All right. And I think that goes back to same as you would answer. Perhaps grandma them was the same way. They didn't have, especially if we just came off the fields. You know how I feel about that. Okay.
Another time.
Okay. So the next one. I don't know what I was trying to say there. I'm going to skip that one. How did you know that Dad was the one? Da, da, da. Now, we heard his side. I even hear your side.
Well, let me tell you, even being as responsible as I
were,
and taking care of nieces and nephews, my husband just brought to mind, even before our second child, right after we got married, I was 19 and you had just turned 20. A month after that, we took in his 3 nephews, and that was a big shock from, my mom and sister being a big hand in helping raising our first child to all of a sudden, I'm pregnant, and now we have these 3 preteen, I think 10, 9, and I think
preteen.
4-year-old boys. That was a challenge, It's one thing to help out, but you also know you got somebody, you can take them back home, you can go in the room and say, hey, they're not listening, but now these kids are here, what do you do?
Yeah. How did you know Dad was the one?
So even with that, the boys there, just seeing him, when the, what do you call them, counselors? The social worker even coming to us with the notion of taking them in, and just seeing how no hesitation he was like, because I'm not going to let them go to foster home. I'm not going to let them be separated. So it was like we didn't even have to have a discussion. Because it's like, even if I didn't know where my life was go or how it would be, I believed in him and his vision. So that was, able for me to back him up and saying, we'll do that. So leading to that, how I knew he was the one, I didn't at first. I was the little girl being as responsible, like I was saying, as I were. I was still a 13-year-old little girl.
I know.
I still play with baby dolls.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I know that's a shock. You don't hear that these days. But I still played with my baby dolls. I still, went on trips. So I was a girl.
Right.
Playing hopscotch and jump rope with my little friends.
Absolutely.
And I think at 14, he 13, I kept trying to ice me out, and it's like I can't even take phone calls, so how am I going to have a boyfriend? So at 14, back then you had school play boyfriends.
Yes.
He just started telling everybody, that I was his girlfriend, and told his best friend that I was going to be his wife.
Oh.
He already prayed for it. And he will pray and ask the Lord to let me know that I'm supposed to be his wife. And back then, writing love letters was a big thing.
Yes.
I'm a writer.
Yes.
And I wrote him one. And it's always, I can write 3, 4, 5 pages just like that. And I'll get like a half a page. Reply. But on one reply, he was wrote me, and what caught me was he was like, it's not going to be this way always.
Exactly.
The Bible says the first shall be the first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
Our time coming.
And he was a faith believer. I was,
Absolutely.
We both didn't even know we was both in the church at the time. I was seeing him reading his Bible, but in that letter, he wrote like, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of you. Anything you need." And then he said, "And if your mom needs anything at all she has to do is just ask, and I would do whatever is in my will to get it for her." And I was like, damn, he's the one. So that was kind of like my first indication of like, a real boyfriend, someone to take care of me, someone I can grow up with. And that little sentence right there, confirmation, was like, if he not only concerned about me, but my mom, and back then my role models, I always see son-in-laws and mother-in-laws hate each other, not wanting to have anything to do with each other. And for him to be like, I would take care of your mom. That was like, to me, like a treasure. So I kind of like put a period there, a placeholder to come back to.
That was your confirmation.
But yeah, so that's that letter right there. And I still have it today. And every now and then I tell her, do you need me to pull out my letter? And to this day, it's going to be 40 years together. 35 years.
I know that's right.
And I always tell him I'll pull that letter out, but he has lived that.
Yeah.
To this day, he has lived it. Even when he and my mom was at odds. And the common denominator was me.
Oh, yeah. Fighting over you.
Fighting over my attention. Yeah. What it all boiled down to. He's never been disrespectful.
No.
He would get angry. He would even walk away. He wouldn't even like storm away. He would just be like, okay, we fist to go, get home. He's never said anything bad about my mother. Yeah. To me, even though I know if stuff she can say that can make me upset, then I know that's my husband, how he has to be feeling. But for him, his character and the way he carries it,
that's that respect.
He's an exception.
Absolutely.
He is an exception to the rule.
My daddy. Why, thank you. Okay, so let me go on to the next one. Oh, wait, I had a comment on that. So in our generations, you guys are making 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Well, that's dwindling in this like first marriage, second marriage, third marriage. So I commend you guys, because you say marriage is something what you work at every day. And I'm like, oh, every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
And we will always say is like early in our marriage, we would say like we have disagreements. We would say marriage is like stock, like your portfolio. You wouldn't, just because a stock might go down one day, you don't necessarily just, I'm going to just pull out all my money out that stock. You would kind of like invest, and you would put more investment in it, and you would, ride it out and see it. Sometimes you make a gain, sometimes you have a loss. And we would always say is, marriage should be like an investment. Continue to invest in your marriage. That can be making set aside quality time for just you and him. Going on vacation to make sure that you make the both of you a priority in whatever's going on, because we all know that the time we're living in now, everybody's so super busy, and it's so easy to get lost. Your relationship get lost in the shuffle. And we would use an analogy saying like, he and I is like at the opposite end of a table, and all this noise is in between us, and we're trying to get to each other. So we had to find a strategy on how can we quiet down the noise, so that we can, like you run in slow motion toward each other to reach each other. So I think consciously making a choice to make each other a priority is a big thing. And I think we live in such an I generation right now, till everybody's, what's in it for me instead of, what's us, like saying 50-50. No, there's no 50-50. Sometimes it could be 80-20, and that's not a bad thing, but I see people look at it negative, but we look at it as I may be sick and in bed and can't do the things that I normally do, and he may not only wash dishes, he may wash the clothes, he might tidy up, and that day might be 80% for him, and it might be 20 for me because I'm down. But people think 50-50. He give 50 and I give 50, but we like, no, we just fit in wherever the need is that we can feel.
Total 100.
So it never may not be 50-50 all the time. It can go up and it can go down, and sometimes we can meet 50-50. But if you're filling in wherever that need is, those numbers might not match up 50-50 all the time. And if people realize that, instead of I'm going to get out or I'm going to give him what he's giving me, then you always going to have that scale unbalanced. So just fill in wherever the need is, and if you better doing money management, take over that role. If you the better shopper, take over that role. There's no stereotypes of a woman does this and a man does that. I say fill in wherever the need is that you can feel. And that what makes it so much easier instead of worrying about who's doing the most. Just let's both do our parts and then look.
Oh my God, that was such a jewel. I never heard anybody say it like that, Ma. That's such a jewel. And I also wanted to comment, both of you had faith at a very young age. And like you mentioned, going to church and just getting that counsel. I know previously we were talking about how you learn from the church. And what I mentioned is we may have internet, YouTube, all this other stuff, but that wise faith counsel, I think is really what's missing in today's society.
Because a lot of people is getting their advice and counsel from there, but you look at it, it's 95% of the time when people posting, they're only posting the good stuff. They're not showing it how we just had this big knockdown disagreement, but when the camera comes on, it's, everything's happy-go-lucky. But if you got people in your life, like I thank God, one person, I won't call the name, but oh my God, that can counsel me to be the best wife I can be at a time domestic abuse. And you can still tell me, but go home and fix him a dinner. Go home and make sure his clothes is clean. But I'm looking at what your husband is doing. But you can still give wise counsel. I don't think we're getting that today. We're only showing the better side of us, not the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think that was missing, because if I didn't see that, when I do see her back happy, I would never know what that other side is. But I know, oh my God, marriage can be like that. And you can pray and stick it out, if the Lord is telling you or whatever, or that teaches you how to, even if the chips are down, I'm going to be the best version of me that I can be, even though I'm going through.
That's beautiful.
And we don't see that. We just see, hey, put on the happy face. Everything is happy. Hashtag happy. And that's not true.
It's not.
Nor is it healthy.
It's not. And like you said, even praying and staying is, I'll just go find somebody else, just like the leave generation. So you guys really stuck it out. So those were just my comments. I'll go to the next question.
Yeah, we got the generation of I quit. This is the generation of I quit, when we was like the generation, what can we do to make it work? We was the struggle. Let's struggle through this. Hey, because if we can use all these obstacles as stepping stones to the next level, we're learning from it, and we're also growing. But if you just, at the first time, I quit, I give up, I'm out.
Oh my God.
Nobody wants to put up the fight.
You're not going to grow.
But it's an investment. I'm not going to my stock is doing so well, and it's one off day, and it could be contributed to, it could be something else going on in the world. It's the reason why my stock went down. So do I just cash my stock in, even though I know that's temporary?
It's temporary.
No, because I know that was just one day. Like 9/11.
Yeah.
All the stocks went, but we know we wasn't going to have 9/11 on 9/12 and 9/13.
It's just one day.
It's the same thing. That was whatever outside influence or source that could have been cause of tribulation in your marriage or disagreement. Then, hey, don't cash it in. Find out, what can you do. Do you need to invest in more? Do you need to roll your stock portfolio? Do you need to mix it up a little bit? And that's all in marriage. What do you need to do? Where we need to invest in our marriage?
I like that.
What do we need to roll over? What do we need to decrease? Do we need to increase, invest in this, or pull the money out of that? So, marriage is forever. We're forever learning, forever changing, and I think the picture that the public paint is that marriage is just this beautiful thing, and this is what it's supposed to be. But no, marriage is a journey, and a journey can have different kind of terrain. Some can be smooth, some can be rocky. You just never know. You just got to persevere through it.
As long as that's the person to go with it.
As long as you're not getting hurt, you're not being abused. I was just gonna say that. You're not being abused. Put up the fight.
So I think our culture has two poles, and if it's supposed to be balanced, I think you guys have a beautiful balance of staying and stock portfolio, like you were mentioning. It's either the leave that's not sticking it out, or the staying when you should leave. So we've lost that wisdom to know when to stay, or I guess when to leave. That healthy balance. Okay, well, that was beautiful. Okay, so let me see what the next one is. So you talked about that. Okay, so you may have touched on this. So if it's the same, that's fine. How did you know about marriage and how to keep it successful? I know you mentioned faith. I'm not sure if this piggybacked off of watching, you're watching grandma or your aunties, or how we look at YouTube maybe today. What were y'all able to pull from? Is it still the church?
Well, I can add more to it, because not only was it the church, because even on the journey. Well, I'll finish that. So church, seeing, like I was saying, in our growing up, we just saw what not to do.
Yes.
This is what I don't want in our marriage.
And I'm going to build it the other way.
Then we started trying to figure out what make it for us. And then in church, we have we had marriage ministry, and then Bible study, Saints Night. For some reason, it's the spirit, your faith.
Yeah.
We would get there, and if we going through something, we would get in church, and the answer would come through the pastor, the bishop, or whatever. We would be looking like, did you go and have a meeting with him? Did you go and tell him our business, or did you? And we'll both be looking at each other.
This
like,
is before cell phones now, right?
Okay. So we would be looking like, how do he know? And he preached this, everything we just went through, and then he would preach like, this is how you're going to get through it. This is how you succeed in it.
That's God.
And we would be like, we would always be teased like, that's microphone ministry.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, God, for whatever reason, that's where the answer would come through. Because, you have the older ladies that get younger women together, you know, and hey, baby, if they see you, no, baby, you shouldn't do that. No, that's not a good look. But, this is an easily offended generation. So you hesitate when you see something and be like, even though you're like, oh, man, it's a gem. If she could just hear me, oh, my God, this could make it so easy. But, you like, taking a breath, like, how is she going to respond? So you more amped to, like, not offer. Because you don't want to be like,
oh Lord, that's the problem.
Like, oh man, I've been there. If she just do this one little thing. But sometimes even a person, body language look, you be like, nope, ain't gonna do it. I'll just pray for her. Yeah. So if we get this generation that's like, get away from the old that offended me to thank you, I can use that, or thank you, but that's not my cup of tea. Yeah. At least be open for that.
That's
but now
true.
It's just like, I don't want to hear nothing.
Or everything isn't always going to be happy. Sometimes the truth is how it should be. It hurts things, and it's going to do what it needs to do. So you're right. Oh my God.
This is an easily offended generation, and they like don't leave me
alone. Y'all made us soft. I'm just kidding.
We're still going.
Yeah.
So just keep following the blueprint.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
There's not rainbows and sunshine every day, but we're doing something right because every day we make a conscious decision to say, I choose you again. You're my one and only. You're still my one and only. Today, I still make you my one and only.
You just called it. So you guys have the blueprint, and I think we're trying to make new ones when the one that's there isn't broken.
I mean, at least look at the blueprint. At least can you look at the blueprint and see, I don't want a 3-bedroom, I just want a 2-bedroom. Okay. But at least if you see something that's working, scratch. Don't be offended if they're trying to just, give you some gems or, hey, this you might want to do it
Mama,
this
you're
way.
Right. You're right. Y'all are the seniors in the game. We should be listening to y'all.
We're looked at as old ogie folk and we don't know anything, and we're like, but we're still doing it.
Absolutely. We've reached milestones that you all hope to reach. So y'all got it. Okay, so you kind of answered that before and you wrapped it up. So thank you. So
we're still learning. Even we're going on 40 years. How we still do it? We're still in. We're joined with marriage clubs.
Yes,
we still go to conferences. We do
that.
Black Love. We still today invest in. Hey, this is not a vacation. This conference is on Black Love. We're going to see what tidbits and gems that they can go to, to pour into us. So still right now today, we're still
growing,
seeking knowledge. We're still growing. We're counseling helps. We're in counsel together and counsel separately.
Yes.
That's another topic that's,
I love that.
Was taboo.
I love that.
Back then it was taboo.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, if we would have been in counsel way back when, oh my God, some of the stuff we probably wouldn't even have to go through.
We didn't even know.
But, it's better to get it late than never. So even, people say, oh, well, y'all been 40, y'all got it.
Yeah.
No. Anything, it's even more work because we feel like we done went through book 1, book 2, book 3. Okay, that worked 10 years ago. It don't work today. But people don't realize you got to still reinvent, reimagine. You still got the same thing that spiced it up. 20 years ago, don't spice it up 40.
You're right.
So it's still a reinvestment. You still have to re-enhance.
Okay.
You still got to
learn each other as you
And
change.
that is so true because every year, every day sometimes, it's like something he just told me, I think like a month a month ago. He was telling my daughter, and I was like, oh my God, I never heard.
She had never
this
heard
is my
it.
first time ever hearing that. But people think, oh, they together, they got it. No, that's even more work because I know him. So now I'm walking because I know what offends him and what doesn't. So I'm more careful in my speech, my actions, where, when you're young, everything is, butterflies and roses, look at the rainbow.
Yes.
And then when you get together, you don't do anything. But then when you learn those tics and those quirks, then you got to learn how to maneuver around them. So that you can keep that bond together and not offend each other.
Absolutely.
So I think the longer you're together, I think sometimes it's more work.
Okay.
I think it's more work.
Okay. So let me just go back a moment. So when those times are down, because I'm even learning that everything's not going to be happy all the time, although that's my favorite emotion to be in. Do you learn? Because I learned the most from just the saddest stuff. I hate it, but that's where I tend to get my message or learning from. So within the marriage, do some of those tough times help build to go forward, or could they have been avoided? Like how do you see them as, we should have never had the argument, or I learned this from that argument, or is that like kind of needed for the growth too?
I think it's a twofold. Sometimes I look and it's like once it's out, you can't take it back, and I'm like, oh my God, now I knew that was a sore spot and I did that. So it's like, oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
Those down moments.
The down times can be because we could be like, what we laugh about now is like when we have a disagreement, we could laugh and be like, oh my God, do you remember like 10 years ago? If this would have happened, oh my God, we probably would have ruined the whole weekend.
Right.
Wait, now we just look at each other and we like, you know what?
I ain't gonna.
He'll laugh or I'll laugh, or he'll say something funny or do something funny, or I'll be punting and pointing at him and poking at him, and he's like, don't talk to me now. And I was like, I'm just gonna poke at you, because I'll be like, consciously, I am not gonna run this whole weekend over something that's so smart. I think oh my God, that was
growth.
A good weekend, and that ruined that weekend. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's growth.
So, and then the other thing is we big on is downtime, his time and my time. Too, I think people think, when you married, you got to invest all your time together, all your time together. But no, people forget that he's an individual and I am an individual inside of this marriage. It's not just us. Just like when we go places and they always be like, hey, James' wife, hey, James' wife. Till I had to, start saying, hi, my name is Darlene, or you can call me Mrs. Jackson. But I am an individual also. James is my wife, but acknowledge me as me because I contribute and play a part too. So even stuff like that, it's like, you know what we say, make up to have another day happy. We're not fit to do this. We're not fit to do this. We also started to help with that, we started a thing where we do a check-in.
Oh my gosh.
Like, when we kind of feel like it's a little tension, or sometimes it's not always tension, but especially times when it's tension, here I would be like, hey, we need to talk, check your feelings at the door.
Oh my goodness.
Which means I may have to say something that may be hurtful. You may have to say something that may be hurtful.
Right.
However, if we don't have this discussion, we're either not going to grow past this, what we're going through, or this can be a major hindrance in us going forward. So, we learn to do that. So that's for those hard conversations that you don't want to have because, it's either too sensitive or it's just some things that's just hard to talk about. So we would do those check-ins. We was trying it one time every month to do it. But then, life and hits sometimes. But we'll, check in and sometimes I just be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
No, how you really doing?
Absolutely.
And we need to talk. No, this is a time I need to go deep. It's not surface level. I want to go deep. Like what's really going on? Because a lot of time we put on that mask, I'm doing well, which can be you are doing well. However, some certain things could have happened in your life or, recently, but you're like, I don't want to bother them with this. But if you let that fester and let that fester, well, this is supposed to be my help me.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the person that I go to.
Absolutely.
If I can go to anybody else.
Yeah.
So by having those meetings, that opens the door to even further let them know you really can talk to me about anything.
Oh, that's
because we know this is
beautiful.
not a meeting to, I'm not trying to get you. You're not trying to take a jab at me with having this meeting because we know we can be better than this, and we want to resolve this, and we want to move forward. So having the hard conversations and setting aside that time is absolutely necessary.
That reminds me of evaluation at work. So this is like a job.
It's kind of like, like, one of the questions is like, hey, how do you see me? How am I doing? Not just surface level, but no, how am I really doing? And to have someone to ask you that question is just like being evaluated at the job, because you're like, oh my God, how's my housework? Am I doing my wifey? Am I wifey? But if you don't have them conversations, and if you thinking everything is fine and well, and especially if you're in a relationship where you don't feel like you can go to that person, then you're suffering in silence.
That's true.
And that's not good. It's not healthy, and it's not good.
That's true.
So have those tough conversations, but create the atmosphere where you feel safe in having those conversations. So a safe space,
safe haven. Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, so the next one is, what does it take? I probably have to break that down. So the previous question was, how did you know about marriage and how to keep it successful? And I guess I was following up. So what does it take? I guess, can we break this down from an individual point of view to a partner? You kind of build up to it, but just, I guess, a generalization. What does it take for marriage, especially in today's time?
I think, again, you kind of have to keep, faith is obvious, a must, that commitment every day. Hey, I choose you again. I'm still in there. We're still in this together. I also think that taking a self-stock, looking at yourself, where are you? How are you doing as an individual? Is it anything that you need to be working on that can benefit not only you, but your marriage, or your partnership? Is it anything where you need to pick up? So those self-assessments are also necessary too. Like, what journey you're on. Like right now I'm on a journey of being the best me that I can be. Yeah. And that pushes me to, dive further, like not just I'm a good person, but why am I a good person? Why do I do this, or why don't I do that? Why do I like this and don't like that? So to kind of like find the root of where I get this from, or how did I become this way, or why am I this way? So taking that journey of self-discovery and self-assessment, I think that's good as an individual, and then I think also as a couple to look at, hey, look where we are now. Are we where we thought we would be, or how we saw ourselves, or is there anything that we could be working on, because it could be better than what it is? That's so beautiful. It's continuing. You got to continue.
Ooh, child.
It's a process. It's a continual process.
Okay.
And don't be afraid of therapy or asking for help, because that plays a big part. Because like me, COVID year was a year where I picked up the phrase, when the parent becomes the student, because my kids was already on this journey and stuff that they would come to me, and I could take from them and be like, oh my God, I never looked at it that way, or I never thought about that. So even you can find knowledge in the most unlikely places that you thought. But I am so grateful and thankful that I can even put myself in a position where I can even hear from my children, to gain knowledge and wisdom from them. We think as parents, our job is to raise them and to teach them, but 2020, I became the student.
Oh, wow.
I needed my family to rally around me, and they came through. And I can contribute to my journey. It's kind of like they gave me that push out there, and I took the reins and I'm running with it, and I am enjoying so much that I'm learning now.
Yes, Mom.
Just from the avenues, them teaching me the podcast, and they're putting me on to Facebook groups and stuff. So it's wherever you can find wisdom, as long as it's good wisdom, and nobody's, I don't need you to teach me how to ruin my marriage, so I'm not going to take unwise wisdom. That's true. So as long as I can hear you because I see you, then I can take wisdom from you.
There you go.
But
I like
not
that.
Not everybody you can do that, because some people you can't hear because you can see them.
I see.
And that was the word the Lord gave me this year, because every year he gives me like a theme. And this year was like, I want people to hear me because they see me in my life, and not to not hear me because they can see me in my life. So even that pushed me and stretched me further to like, hey, you got to tighten up on your walk. You know, dive deeper. Go deeper.
Okay, Mama.
So don't think longevity means that you've got it and you got it all together. Because it's a process which is ever evolving and learning and moving. So just remember that. It doesn't stay the same. You're not going to have fireworks every day. Just think about the days that you have the snowstorm.
Lord.
So enjoy that. You can even find happiness in the snowstorm.
That's true. You're right. Oh my goodness.
As long as you're committed to it, hey, you can be happy with the sunshine and rainbows the same as you can in the snowstorm.
That is so true, Mom. And even on TV, they'll show you happy, and then when it's sad, it's the wasteland. So it's like, okay, where's that big picture
nobody's taught you what to do on those stormy days. You know, it's like, just leave it. I don't have to put up with this. And it's true, you don't. So what can you do to make it better?
Right.
Is it something as simple as, I'm going to apologize?
Yeah.
Or is it simple as I can go back to that person and be like, hey, I missed it.
Yeah.
I kind of like missed that.
Yeah.
Give me a chance. I want to do this over.
Yeah.
Hey, let's try this again. And something as simple as that.
It do be simple. A lot of people get remarried because they realize, oh, that was so simple and you was the one for me and there's nothing out there. So you are so right. Mama, that was so good. Okay, so let's see. I talked about mom, talked about marriage. Okay, and Mom, your answers are so good. You're answering all the questions. So who taught you how to be a mom? Did it really come from being an auntie? I see a book from 0 to 5, how to parent. I even remember y'all reading a parent book. I know there's God. Or is it the moment that child is in your arms, it just clicked?
I think I became a mom when I first got my first baby doll.
Aww.
And I was a little girl where it didn't matter. Black, white, Hispanic, or whatever. To this day, I still tell my mom. She has this story about one of my dolls. Oh my God, one of my favorite dolls. She bought me a baby alive.
Yes.
But what she didn't do was, I told her, you have to buy the food so that this dog can eat.
Yes.
And right then, you know, it's like, I'm not going to spend money on that play food. I need to put real food on the table. So from my first baby doll, that dog breathed life. That dog was alive. It said baby alive.
Yes.
But that baby alive, I took that literally like, this is a live baby.
MG.
She didn't buy me any food. We ate dinner. And when I went in the room to play, I realized my baby was hungry. She didn't have many more of those little play packs of food. So I went and got some flour and water. And I made a paste and I fed my baby. But I didn't know if you didn't rinse that stuff out, it would draw bugs and stuff. And I just know my mom was like, the house was smelling and nobody knew what was smelling. They thought it was the trash. It wasn't a trash. And I went to school one day and I came back and my baby was gone.
No.
You know, they found her in not so good condition and she tossed my baby. And from then on, I think it was just solidified in me. If I ever get another baby, I'm going to take care of her so well. My mom's never going to throw away another one of my babies. So I learned then the food became like balling up pieces of paper, putting it in a bowl, putting it in her mouth, or just putting it to her lips, pretending.
She was going to eat though.
So, but I mean, my babies, they ate, they went to school, we went on vacations, I lined chairs up. We've taken plane rides, train rides.
It was in you.
From the beginning, it was like, I'm going to be the best mom ever. I don't think it had anything to do with my mom. That wasn't the tear, like, you know, I didn't have such a horrible mom that I knew. It's just those babies, it just was something. I was just going to take care of my baby dolls to the best of my ability. If my brothers came and they was working with them, I would be crying. They would take their heads and put them on each other dolls, turn them backwards. My dolls had life to me. So I think from then on, that journey was to like, I'm going to be a good mom and I'm going to be a good wife one day.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that just was my
stood.
path
Yeah.
to go. You know, I thought I wanted to go to school for business administration, but, you know, that wasn't in it. Then I thought I wanted to go to be a teacher, but then doing my internship, you know, the kids are over there and I'm over here. And I'm like, oh, my God, you're taking the hands-on away from me. And I was like, no. So what I did was I opened my own family home daycare so that I can instill in those kids, because you know, all kids just want to be loved and somebody to love them.
Absolutely.
So I just think from a child that it was just ingrained in me. And then when I had my nieces and nephews and my husband's nephews, and I just think with each child we was presented with, it was just preparing us more and more until we got our own.
You up next.
And I think we was pros by that time.
Y'all had it.
Yeah, you know, you look and you kind of see, you know, my mom, she was a hard worker. We never missed meals. We may not have what we wanted.
I know.
But, you know, even if she missed a meal because it was only enough for us, you know, that's the sacrifice she made. So, looking at my mom did the best
I know
she could with the tools that was handed to her. You know, single mom. My dad was out the house at 3 when I was 3 years old. So single mom raising 6 kids. Oh my God, she did a job.
She definitely did, Mom.
A job. And today I hail her my shero.
Absolutely.
To this day. Good, bad, ugly, flaws and all.
Oh yeah, Mama.
Because when I look at it, I say, you know, well, she could have did this and she could have did that.
Fair.
But then when I look back and say, but she didn't know.
Exactly.
But she didn't have access to that.
Exactly. That's
so
grace.
Then God gave me the grace to look even at my mom through new eyes and eyes of love.
Yeah.
He was able to open the door to even let me connect that with the memories that I had to say, oh my gosh, she did a heck of a job. She did a heck of a job. And that was the part of the self-assessment. Even going back to why am I like I am? Why do I care like I am? And that was one of the things was, why is being a mom so important to me?
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
And I take it back to that first dog being taken away from me. I did something bad. No, I didn't take care of my baby right. And it was just like, if I ever get another one, she would never have to throw another one away.
It was so good.
And she didn't have to take another one away until I met this guy here. And she told him I was playing with baby dolls with my little friend.
You embarrassed.
And I took them around the corner to my nieces and gave them away. Because I think if I wouldn't have met you, I think I would have been in high school playing with the
baby dolls.
I think I would have.
But you know what? Today we have the Sims. That's still baby dolls. That's digital baby dolls. So we still playing with our dolls. Mom, that was so beautiful. And I had to realize that too. It's easy to say, what you have now, internet, No, let's go back with the same tools that were there. Right, and what could you have done?
Not only the tools, but just look at the time. Because the times has changed.
Absolutely.
And we're so quick to judge people to where we are now.
Absolutely.
But you have to look back, retrospect. Where is this coming from? And what was the circumstance around it? And then I look, back then it was, don't tell. Everybody's business was in the house. So, so where would she go for everybody back then? If everybody's on Section 8 and welfare, then that's the whole village is that. So where are you going to get any extra information from anything? So, I had to look and say, well, given the circumstance and the time,
y'all did it.
You know what, man? My mama did a heck of a job.
Did. Absolutely.
Kudos. Hats off. Job well done,
y'all
Mom.
did it. She kept her kids. There's kids in the system. You hear so many horror stories. Y'all did it. Y'all did it. So congrats. Okay, so the next one is, we talked about this before, but this is going to be for the podcast. If you could go back, or however you want to phrase it, would you have done any moments different? And I think you kind of gave a 2-part answer to that. I think you kind of said, no. But what I wish I would have known this, or it was a way that you kind of phrased it. It was kind of like, no.
It's like, one is like, if I could, I think I would have stayed home maybe 2 years.
Yes, that was it.
Before I moved out, and immediately I graduated, and I moved out and started LIFEIN then.
Right away.
19 years
old. High school to life.
18. I got married when I was 19. That was the next year. 18. I graduated June, and we was moving out in July, and life started.
Wow.
So I think I would have stayed home just a couple of more years, especially after being responsible for somebody else. My husband and I, which is it's a good and a bad.
Yeah, that's how you were wording it.
I look and say, everything was for a reason.
Absolutely.
I think it probably made us even more responsible and more prepared for life.
Yeah.
Than, my friends party.
Yeah. And then life slap them a little later.
So that's just kind of one thing I kind of like. Wish I would have stayed home 2 years.
Yeah.
But me not doing that, God gave me this daughter named Jamisha. And I think he probably let me see this is what your life would have been like. So I think I get to see kind of this is what it would have been like through you, through looking at your life.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I absolutely would not hesitate one moment is putting TVs in the bedrooms. I just kind of felt like that was like the beginning of the dismantle of the family unit.
You're right, Mama.
Because there's so many times that I would come in and I would walk by everybody's bedrooms. There'd be 5 TVs on in the house, and they're all watching the same show. And I'd be like, we all looking at the same thing. Let's go up front and look at it. And everybody's like, no, I'm good. And so I think it kind of started dividing the family up. We raised our kids. We ate dinner together. Once the TVs got in the room, it was kind of like, I'm going to eat in my room. So nobody's eating at the table. So I kind of feel like that was kind of like the beginning of the division of family. And I definitely would not put TVs in bedrooms.
Okay. And boss them don't have a TV in the kids' room. So I think he heard you on that.
This is going to keep, at least we're going to still come together at some point in the day. Because you're going to want to look at something. But once the TVs came in, we're at work, the kids at school. And then when everybody come in, now they're going to watch their shows. So it's like, when do you really spend time together?
You're crossing each other.
So it's like,
except for the weekend.
Ships in the night. You're like,
and everybody resting.
Yeah. So when you literally, people like, how your kids doing? You're like, they all right. Yeah, it's true. Because you have to go on Facebook. Oh, okay. Yeah. To check in to see, because you're just missing each other.
That's true.
You're just living under the same house.
And the dinner table was also a chance to check in. How was your day? What's going on?
You actually had conversations. Still had conversation. Now it's just, you ask a kid, well, how you doing? I'm good. It's like, okay, but you just come from school. I expect you to share a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
I remember that.
Hey, they're more quick to share with Facebook than the way they will the family that they're living with.
That's what happened, Mom.
I just think that was just the beginning of the dismemberment
of
the family unit.
Worldwide.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I think that was the beginning, and then
computers
just opened the door. The TVs, knocked on the door, and computers just knocked it down.
Because you have grandma, auntie, uncles, that family kind of went, but then it destroyed the actual family, mom, dad, kids. I do remember that. I remember I didn't like your TV shows, Mom. I hated it. Why we gotta look at black and white? Why we got all the characters were white? I just could not understand. Why are we looking at white? She's like, this is all we had. I'm like, there's no black people on here. Then we got the Cosby's and stuff. And it was like, okay, there go our people. And it became more.
Fridays was black.
Here we go.
So
I just was like,
I'll be telling you,
I don't relate
Jamisha,
with them.
It's like if you didn't have anything else, we wouldn't know that there's black actors, because
that's
this is
all you
they're
had
presenting to us. So this is what we grew up on.
I got you. I see that. Okay, so the next one. What do you think about motherhood today?
What I think about motherhood today.
Has it?
I think
however you want to answer
definitely
that.
Different.
Okay.
From my mom, my mothering.
Oh yeah, you've seen 3 generations now.
I think this generation of mothers is kind of like, I seen what my mom did and how my mom raised, and stuff that I didn't like that my mom either made me do or didn't make me do. I'm going to allow my kids to kind of like plot their own journey and let them figure out where it's going to go.
Yes.
Some things I agree with, some things that I don't. So there is definitely a gap in my mothering, and I say the last maybe 5 years, that has changed. I don't know if it's a new movement or, hey, let's, mom them just follow what their moms and their moms did, and now we're going to do it differently. But I still think kids need structure, and I still think kids need guidance. I just not in agreement with parents that's like, just let the child, figure it out and hey, whatever he decides, that's his business, this is his life. Yeah. But you as the parent is the guidance to try to steer them. We're not telling you to make every decision for your child, but I kind of think that structure is there for a reason.
Protection.
So
absolutely.
That's the biggest difference that I think in parenting today.
Versus then. When
discipline, I think that's like obsolete now. Like,
but Ma, can I say sometimes I don't think it worked. Some kids got beat a lot and they were still bad. So don't you kind of have to know your child a little bit too.
I even would judge myself as parenting in the past with my kids, where I agree with you're gonna get spanked if you did something. Yeah. Fast forward to my grandkids, they really didn't mean it. Or go sit down, and the grandkids, it's like you get a chance to see like
a do-over.
They do deserve a second chance. So I'm telling the parents that's wanting to get on to them, they okay, they fine. Now go sit down, go get out of here before you get in trouble. So it's like I don't think I spanked the grandchild. Because that's what I'm like. Grace and mercy, grace and mercy. Have grace and mercy on them. So maybe that's kind of like some of the things that I was like. I look back and say, when she wanted to go to that party, maybe I should have not, said no, or did she really deserve a spanking? So I think grandkids is a parent's way of saying you get a do-over. So some things that I even did with my own kids and my grandkids, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that with them. Or, hey, I see how that didn't work. Yeah. So I'm going to try it this way. Okay. So I really think it's a do-over. But there is definitely a difference from parenting, even my parenting before in this new generation. Some of the things I'm on board with and some of the things I'm just like, oh, no. So there's a big
gap. And so it's changing with the times, too. Gotcha. Mothering with the times. Okay. So the next one is...
I don't think so much is changing with the times, Misha.
You think so?
I think it's more of the whole world kind of like seems like they're on a journey of this is how I see world, or this is how I see my relationship through my eyes. And I think they're looking at this is what parenting looks like through my eyes. Yeah, my mama did it that way, but I'm setting a new path.
I get what you're saying.
It's like that even.
So it's the individual.
Well, yeah, I think the whole world is on a journey. Like that was okay. We know that was how that worked back then, but hey, what does it look like to me? I'm going to define it on my own rules and my own terms. Okay. And I think the parenting fall in line with that. So.
So it went from cookie cutter maybe to individualized.
So now it's just like, hey, even like we say with marriage, even growing up, what I didn't see with my mom, so I didn't get it there, and some of the stuff that I did get with church, I'm like, but now what I'm learning is like, where was this 20 years ago? I needed you to be on chapter 5 and you only stayed on chapter 1 and 2. So, but my husband be like, better late than never.
Absolutely.
Like, I just kind of feel like I was wrong. And then, you'll come back and say, well, do you really know what could you have handled it if you had back then? Or... So that just kind of like settled me down and be like, okay, because that was my journey. I want to know why you didn't share that, or why you withheld that. Didn't know. And now I'm like, okay, it was what it was. Yeah. Going forward, this is what it looks like on my terms and through my eyes. Oh yeah, no exceptions and no explanations. I love that. As long as it's not going against my moral compass, I'm good.
I love that.
And I think that's what
such liberation.
Seems like everybody in the world is on.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's that disconnect from this is what the coulda did all your grandmoms and great grandmoms to hey going forward.
That's beautiful. And maybe the stereotype of judgment has been brought down because it's like, okay, feel how you feel,
Right.
but I'm still moving this way. So,
because that might have worked for you.
Yeah.
Like I was sharing with my husband the other day. I was like, we was getting marriage counsel from like 40 and 50-year-old people, and we was like 19 and 20. And I was like, oh my God, where is the disconnect in that? And so I look and say, so some of the information we probably should have had like then.
Didn't have.
But then you was like, well, what if they didn't have the information?
They didn't. They
And
did.
I'm like,
And I always
oh,
tell you, too,
okay.
y'all had wisdom. Now, these people reaching 30, 40, 50 years of marriage, which y'all have, following the guidance, versus this my 4th marriage. So I feel like there was a trade-off for we got all the good, juicy stuff, but y'all had that wisdom. And wisdom is what's going to take you the
telling
distance.
me that, it was like, okay, it was what it was.
Yeah.
So, hey, just move forward.
Yeah.
So that
And
helped
that's
me a
okay.
lot, hearing that, because I was like, I'm going to find the answers.
And it's more readily available. So I don't think they knew.
Well,
I could just click a button and
Yeah.
you said y'all had to go to the library and look at Rolodexes and stuff. Nobody got time for that. We just click, and there go the answer. So it's just more readily available. Okay, so I think it's a few more, Mom. Let me scroll back down. Okay, this is a good one. So you're retired now. Woo! Any work advice, retirement advice as you reflect back and that experience and where you are now? Like, what could you combine together as work-related advice or retirement?
Retirement, well, the state that I am now is like just bliss.
I love it.
I am enjoying the space that I am now, that I'm in now.
That's so
As
beautiful.
far as work here, sometimes I do miss it.
What?
Because I miss my good relationships that I had at the job.
Okay.
You know, the ones that I did have at the job.
I see.
Sometimes I miss that.
I see.
But just the peace that I'm having right now,
know.
it is just so priceless.
I know.
You know, I get up. I never was a breakfast person, so I go in there, and most of the time, if I am cooking, we're going to have brunch that day, but it ain't going to be breakfast. And then a new hobby that I got into, I don't even know if I should call it a hobby.
Nope.
But my new journey is I'm gardening.
Woo!
And it just opens the door for
Oh,
me
I
to
love
just,
it,
I can just be out
You
there
are
for hours
flourishing.
and hours and hours.
Flourishing.
And I'm just enjoying. I think I put in the
You
years,
put in your time.
and I
Sure
think,
did.
You know, hey, I'm reaping the benefits.
Yes,
of it
you
now.
are. Absolutely.
And, hey,
I'm so happy for you, Mom. You be out there. I'm working and you work. We both working, but you in the garden all day. You do so good with the garden, Mom. Okay, so it was worth it. Okay. Let me piggyback on that. I do remember when you were working, you missed out on some mom things. Like I remember you mentioning boss. Do you think today's woman is missing out on that motherhood because of work? And maybe that's the generation that we're seeing?
what?
Because you love on those kids at daycare because you're filling that gap for mom, too.
Well, not necessarily, because I think the world has changed, especially the last few years. So many people are working from home. They're starting businesses, successful businesses from home.
Okay.
So I think with the pandemic,
You're right.
we went through, we're still in. I think it opened the doors for where a lot of moms were missing that time with my kids being in daycare.
Yeah.
But 90% of my parents was like, hey, I just want to pick them up, feed them, and put them to bed. So I don't think this generation is like, on my days off, I'm going to keep my child home from daycare because I want to spend time with my kid. Where my sister had opened up a daycare and she would keep my kid. And if I got called off from work, I'll call her. The first thing is like, hey, he ain't coming today. I don't have to go to work. I'm keeping him with me.
Yeah.
Because that's like time I know I'm not going to get back.
Yeah.
So, but I think with the women that's doing it now from home, I think they're getting the both of both worlds. They're able to, to start their business, bring income in, as well as, hey, my kids are right here. The ones that's not school age are here.
Yeah.
And the school age, if they're being homeschooled, they're not missing it.
Okay.
So I think only the ones that actually put them in daycare.
Yeah.
But it's a sacrifice, though, because like you were saying, some of the things that I was missing with my son, that was my only son, and it seems like every time I would turn around and when I pick him up, it was like, hey, he's doing this, or hey, you doing this, and I'll get home and be like, hey, James, she said he's sitting up, hey, she said he's doing, and he wouldn't do anything. And I was like, he's not sitting up. He's not rolling over. And she was like, he's walking. I'm like, yeah, I tried. He's not walking. He's walking everywhere around here. And I had a conversation with my husband. I was like, this is my only son. I'm not having no more. I can't do this. This is wearing too much on me. And so I was like, what can I do where I can be with him? Yes. And she was like, well, why don't you just start your daycare? And that's how I got into daycare. She's like, hey, you can not only stay home with him, but you can also still, have income. Yes. And that's how I got into it, because it was just those pivotal moments of messing with him. And I'm like, I'm never going to get it again. So that was like, staying home. Yeah. So it's like you can get the both of both worlds. Can. So yeah,
that was beautiful.
So if that's your calling, but I don't think
motherhood
is a calling for everybody. I think everybody's a mom, but I don't think everybody has the calling of motherhood. Yeah. Because being a mom is, you nourish and take care of them. But I think that mothering is where, because I had them 5 hours, it only seemed like they was here for a few minutes. So
I got you.
That's why follow your. If motherhood is your journey, you'll make room for it. And if being a mother's your journey, you'll make room for that as well.
Oh, that was beautiful, Mom. Okay, so let's see. You answered this already, so you can do a very, very short answer. So you're a whole grandmother now, Grandma Deej. How is that different from a mom? And you usually give that one statement where I can spoil, I can give you a treat.
It's a short
answer. That's very fine.
It's wonderful because I tell them moms and dads have to say no. But being a Deej, I get to say yes all the time.
I love it. That is beautiful.
I always have special treats and I always have snacks. Like now, the kids are coming over tomorrow and my husband is teasing with me. You ain't there rushing? Because I'm making a marshmallow treat. Look at you rushing. Why are you doing that? And I'm like, the grandkids come over. You're talking about, here we go. I'm like, when they come over, they expect that.
And they do.
But yeah, we get to have the fun part. We don't have to do the discipline or any of that. So that's how it's different.
Okay. Nice and short and sweet because I know you piggybacked on that. So the next one says, you have a mom. Mm-hmm. Your kids, most of your kids are mom. The last one, you guys. And you have grandkids. Is your role, the same for all three of those paths?
No, it's not.
Can you break that down as short as you like?
I have a mom. I'm a daughter, which means I just have to be respectful. Not that I just have to be, but my commitment is I'm respectful and helping her wherever she needs help. That's my role with my mom. I'm not responsible for her. She's independent. She does everything. So I just have to be a respectful daughter and fill in wherever she needs me at.
Okay.
As far as being a mom, myself.
Yes, even though your kids are moms. So what does that stage look like?
We're parents.
We're
parenting.
Yeah.
We're not mothering and fathering.
Okay, yeah. You did say that. Okay.
So now
that's the second
our role with that is just if they come with us, it's like, hey, baby, instead of doing it that way, you can do it this way. So our role is to come to for advice and suggestions.
Okay.
And as far as being the grandma, that role is just to spoil them. It's always happy as that grandma house.
Okay.
I'm going to be that grandma where they don't want to leave. I'm not going to be that grandma. It's like, why do I got to go?
No.
So grandma house is definitely going to, and I'm not, Grandma Deej's house is going to be the house where all the grandkids want to come because they know it's the fun house.
That is so true.
Those roles are definitely different.
I love that. Okay. And when I say that, I'm into spirituality. They call it the mother, the maiden, and the crone. The maiden is just the young, adolescence before she gets married. Then you got the maiden. It's a picture of her being pregnant. So that's a whole journey of its own. Then you got the crone. She has long, white hair and she's older. And they're just explaining that it is the woman. It is female. She's a mother, but there's different avenues So that's why I went over that one. Okay. All right. So let's see. As a child, you always dreamed of being mom, being wife, yada, yada, yada. Is it exactly how you pictured it? Did you manifest it exactly how you saw? You saw the future.
I didn't see the future.
Okay.
But as far as the journey, I think the journey has been and still is on what I saw as a kid or what I thought I would, because I oftentimes ask my husband, could you see 40 years back then at 13, 14 years old?
Yeah.
And I couldn't see this far, but he would say, I knew we would. So, and I would say that I trusted and then believed in him enough to, even though I didn't see the vision, I believed it. Even though I didn't see the journey, I believed in his vision. And he was a man of standard who I didn't mind standing behind and going on that journey with. So even though I didn't have the whole plan, I trusted him enough that, hey, if he said it's going to be this way, it's going to be this way. And he's never let me down. If we struggle together. I mean, it's just been, we look back and it's like everything you said a house, you said 4 kids, you said 2 cars, you said, a nice neighborhood. And I was like, I didn't see the journey. I couldn't see 40 years, but I saw enough in him to believe that he wouldn't lead us astray.
Take you there. That was beautiful. Oh, you gonna make me cry. I finally got that. That was beautiful. Let's see. I asked you this the other day about Dad. What makes you happiest? You can say all of those roles. You can name one thing, whatever comes to mind as far as this question.
It's everything. I don't think it's just one thing. I just think it's the whole, like you say, yourself is the whole person, the wife, the mother.
The cumulative.
The garden. Aww. My husband. And what makes me most happy, she fell out of chair. He can do anything.
He can. Y'all done heard me talk. Y'all heard me talk about Papa Bear.
I mean, he
Superman.
He doesn't see it because it's
he doesn't.
him, but
he really
when you
doesn't.
Look as 13, he wanted me to be his girlfriend.
It's a different
but
guy.
I was like, no.
Don't make him.
At 14, I would get my best friend on the phone. Hey, call him so I can talk to him. If my mom pick up, you say something.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't, but it means something when you see a school full of boys.
Yeah.
And you can see like he's no good. He's no good. Oh, look at him. He's mad and she's this.
Yeah.
And you see this one that's like just set aside. He would be the one that's like, he wasn't a mean person, but he was, his statue, it just demanded respect. And it's like if we would be unruly in class and we're being unruly and the teacher trying to talk over us, he would like, hey, quiet down. And, everybody mumbling under their breath who he think he is, but the class got quiet. And then he would be like, go ahead, Miss H. Go ahead, turn the class back over to the teacher. So it was just some quality
He had it.
that was
Young
in
age.
him that he don't see it, but to trust somebody at 14 with something like, oh my God, to trust him with my heart.
Yes. And he didn't let it down.
That's something that he has never misused my heart. I shared something with him.
Oh, yeah.
And trusted with him like this is something so precious that you have to, and without a moment, him to get the help I needed or whatever, and to be able to trust, it was like, so it was beautiful. Just like, what makes me happy is just like being together, doing stuff together. It's not, just like I tell him, it's not like, we don't have to go on this extravagant vacation. We can go and build something in the backyard together.
My mom's
it's
not
just
like that.
Togetherness, because we never was like party people. Yeah. We never drinking, smoking and stuff. So we always was family oriented. What are we going to do for our family to have our kids have more than what we had, experience more than what we had? So just pouring into other people is where I get my happiness from. Okay. Because even if I won the lottery, having that money would make me happy. What would make me happy is seeing a person in need and to see how helping them would change their life or how it would affect their life. That's where I get my happiness, is helping and being available to other people. To the point of a fault to where
you've learned.
I would like, okay, me later. Me later, I'll get to me. And learning, I gotta take care of myself
she
first.
say it.
So it's just helping other people, being, together with my husband, doing things together. Okay. I like gardening. I love reading. Yes, I get it from you. Give me a puzzle and you don't have to worry about me. So I even bought this little thing, say it's the simple things in life.
Mama, that's you.
It's really
that really is you.
Things. I'm not materialistic.
You're not.
I'm not money bound.
You're not.
I'm not labeled.
You're not.
I'm not a label hoarder. So it's just the simple things that would touch my heart, pour into my heart. Like I say, I want to hear your heart.
Yeah.
So when I can pour into people or hear somebody's heart and I can fulfill that, that makes me so happy. To being able to hear a person's heart and fulfill a need.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Mom. My mom is not extravagant. I would get her expensive gifts. My dad would get her expensive gifts. She would take a bag. Just make me a card. Make you a card. She really is. It comes from your heart. So that's my mama. She wants the simple things.
Well, you know, this card, she made me this card. And to this day, I had a file cabinet, but the kids had to buy me a chest.
Yes.
Because to this day, everything that they made from school, all throughout their school, I have a folder for each child and each of the grandkids up until Tati and CJ. Yeah. Even if they make me stuff now, it's still in the chest because I treasure those things. Yeah. Those what means the most.
You're right, Mama.
Don't give me the money. Let me hear your heart.
That's true. You're right. So I took a little bit of that. I still have every birthday card or graduation card, even from Uncle Mark. I went through the other day, and it brings back so much emotions and memories. Like I literally kept every card. So you got a point on that.
Every card and every letter.
It means something.
Every letter exchanged between the two of us.
To this day.
To this day.
Beautiful. That's a treasure.
To this day.
That is my treasure.
Okay, let me see. How do you deal with your kids and the different thoughts of religion and health and lifestyle that they are living today? And you can also throw in, there's some, because this is a podcast for multiple people, there's some parents out there that may have kids that are living a different lifestyle, maybe boy on boy or girl on girl. So if you could just throw all of that into there. Or, okay, for you. Okay. Because it's still it will be different.
For me, it's a difference. But just to come into the understanding of, first I had to realize we did an awesome job. We did an amazing job with our kids. We had to come to it was hard, but to say, okay, I'm not going to take the apron off, but I'm definitely going to unloose the cords where you can't pull them. So that forced us to say, because if we keep being the lifeline, the kids are going to constantly do this and they're not going to reach their full potential because they know anytime we call for mom and dad is going to be there on the spot. Yeah, so that was the biggest thing of, hey, we're going to push them to being the best that they can be. Now, in the case of emergency, we're here, but to give them a chance or to push them to figure it out for themselves, that was one of the biggest things. And in doing that, we evaluated and said, you know what? They're all doing good. Yeah, they're smart. They're intelligent. They're going to make their way. They're going to make strides in this world. And to actually go from being a parent to parenting adult children, which means I don't have to tell you right from wrong. I don't have to scold you or discipline you. I'm just here if you seek counsel or advice. Like that's our role now. So in doing so, it taught us they're adults, we're adults. We can have different opinions, but I can be respectful to you the same as I'm asking you to respect me. Yes. I'm going to ask the same thing of you. Respect me as well. And I think if parents start looking at that and through the eyes with grace and mercy, remembering, I didn't have it together all at one time. And to remember, you know what? I may have not been into that, but I was into something else. And you know what? By the grace of God, look where I'm at now. So to extend the same grace to those kids. So it might be something they might be in temporary. Yeah. Or like I tell my mom, the best thing you can do is to just go in your prayer room, go to war. Hey, just lift their name up. Because just like I tell you all the time, nothing I say, if you really believe in something, it's not going to persuade you. And you can't tell me, if I believe in this and I'm flat-footed, you're not going to persuade me to go a different way unless I want to or unless you want to. So why run the risk of causing discord well, don't say anything to me because you stepping outside or you're not doing this.
Yeah.
I just say, just at the end of the day, that's your child.
Yeah.
So love your child. You may not know you may not agree with what your child is doing, but continue to love your child.
Beautiful.
So if parents do that, I think it will cause a lot of relationships to mend or not be broken in the first place.
That's true.
Because some things our parents told us not to do, we did. But then when we become parents, we think that the kid's supposed to follow the blueprint to the T.
I know.
And if they don't, oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
And so by having that grace and mercy, you're saying too, I may not agree with it. However, I respect you and you respect me. And if that means, hey, don't come to my house doing XYZ or with XYZ, then if you set that up and they know, and if they're going to respect you, then
they'll respect it.
There it goes. We agree on that, and then the relationship, hey, there's no brokenness in the relationship. So just allow for that grace and mercy and allow them to grow in their own space. Yeah, you gave them the blueprint, but sometimes they might want that second blueprint, or your blueprint might be a one-story house, but they want a two-story house. So give them grace to look over the fence and see what else is over there. You've raised them to stay in the fence because of safety, but what if they want to peek because they hear something on the other side? So give them grace if that's what they're going to. By all means, don't. If you see them, oh my God, doing something that's going to be detrimental, then please step in. But if not, just let them make their own way and just be respectful, one to another. And I think you guys will prosper.
Gotcha. Now, I know y'all see me on the phone and YouTube and stuff. I have reached just a period of just learning and absorbing everything from relationships to being a mom, just phases that I'm not even in yet, to spirituality. And I'm just like absorbing it all, have so many different folders, honing it in on motherhood. I was reading an article about unexpected or unmet expectations of a mom and a child, and I was just like, oh my God, a mom had a child and it was not anything like she expected, and she almost kind of was remorseful about it, and I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, you expected it to be this and it's not, and I was just like, oh my God.
That's where you allow grace and mercy.
Never thought
allow
of
space
that.
for that, because it's different. Okay, you didn't expect it to be that, but now that it is, what are you going to do with it? You have two choices: disassociate yourself, or say, how can we come together?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, just make the decision. Hey, if everybody wants to live in peace and harmony, so what can you do to keep that peace and harmony?
Gotcha. And I remember I was talking to you the other day about, like, you have multiple child. What are you worried about? And he was like, no, this is a new child. It could be a new thing. And I'm like,
every mother and her
God.
child. Each child is different. Like, we joke all the time, we ain't worrying about one. That's going to be the
she
one
gonna
that
be
we
alright.
We're going to need one for that one.
Yeah.
And then we got one with the mouth. It's like, oh my God. And then you got the one that's a hermit. And then the one is like, I'm just going to pray. So every mother knows, just like I said, every mother have a relationship. People say, oh, that's the favorite child. It's not the favorite child. It's just the bond.
I know.
This is the bond with this child, and that's the bond with that child. The same with grandkids.
Yes.
There's not no favorite. It's just you have a different bond.
I got you.
Shai is my first granddaughter. We're going to bond over that.
Oh, yeah.
But look, Tati is my Tati. She is my baby girl's first daughter. So that's just a little bond and a role she plays. So it's just different relationship and different roles that each child plays. Why it's different. Yeah. There's no favorite.
Not a favorite.
That's why I tell the kids, I was like, Jamisha, you my favorite middle daughter. Don't tell nobody.
Ain't no other middle.
You my favorite oldest daughter. But don't tell your sister. And then I tell Shanitra, you my favorite baby girl. Don't tell nobody. And my son, you my most favoriteest son. And so now he starts saying, you're my most favoriteest mom.
Okay. The only one. Well, that was beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Two more, Mom. We're going to wrap it up. What advice would you give women today as an elder? I want to say matriarch. I don't think elder was the right.
I'm not a matriarch.
Matriarch. Isn't that like the head of a family?
Older woman.
Older woman. Honorary mother of the. I think of matriarch as like,
You did.
Okay.
My matriarch.
What do you call the junior matriarch?
My sister.
Oh, okay. Honorary mother. What would you, especially all the paths that you've been down, what words of wisdom would you give to the women today? This could be just for us, people on the podcast, just a generalization. Don't go nowhere, Daddy. Y'all next. Okay.
Well, I just think with everything that I've learned, the most important thing, just like my baby daughter iced me, and I was saying, I'm learning to take advice from people. You know, if people have advice from you, you can accept it. Just take and store what's for you and what's not from you.
Yeah.
You can just let that fall by the wayside. Yeah. But to learn to just make space for something that's different. I think we're all just afraid of something different.
Okay.
And just because it's something you've never experienced or whatever, don't necessarily just count it out because you haven't experienced or you don't have any knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Don't count it out. Just make space for, okay, it's not the person exactly or the situation, the person or the circumstance. Just say it might be just a situation. So if we allow space and space for differences, I think that would be a lot better that we all can take away from. We can all take away that things may look different now than how you did it. And it's okay. That's the biggest takeaway. Just because it's different doesn't mean that it's bad. It's okay. It just may not be for you.
Yeah.
So don't condemn everybody just because it's not for you. Just kindly say, you know, hey, that's not my cup of tea, and move it on. But don't yuck somebody else's yum because you either don't get it or it's not for you.
Gotcha.
So if we look at it in that way, hey, that's just not my path.
Yeah.
But you know, hey, I respect you and I'm gonna move on. So we just do that. I think it just be more harmony in the world today. So do that and allow your kids to, they're gonna make their mistake. I just saw a post, somebody posted on the thing saying, parents, you've done a good job raising your children. Now stop trying to do their homework. Life is gonna get them. And I think if we take from that, be like, you know what? So many years, we raising you guys, we shield you from all the bad stuff, the disappointments. We didn't want you guys to see any of that, and that grew on to when you guys was young adults and moving out on your own. Your lights up here, pay your light bill. You need to pay your phone bill because we still like, I want to protect you, I want to shield you. But she said they have to take their own final exam. Right. They have to take the test themselves. So that is the thing. It's like, okay, parents, if you know that you've done a good job, let your kids do their own homework and take their own exams. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be just fine. So that's my big takeaway, and it's okay. And just make room for differences.
That's it. I thought of one more. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm in a group of, I got my little spiritual groups that I'm in. One of the girls, she's just going back in her childhood, and I gave her advice, but I wanted to hear what you would say. Her and her sister wanted to commit suicide, and she tried to have a conversation with her mom to say that I don't think you loved us, both of us. Man. And as a mom, I don't know how that would feel on that side. I can only speak for this side. But I was just telling her, she probably did the best that she could. I'm sorry that you didn't feel that love. Right. But I was like, we have internet and all this other stuff. We may know different ways of love, and she could probably only give what she would give. But I want to change the question into this: when you cook, you went to daycare, they would say what? Give the child milk, juice, bread, vegetable, meat, yada, yada, yada. When you think of a child, what love, what are those categories of love that child should have? Is it just like cooking a meal?
Well, again, it's not a cookie cutter. Because you can have one child that can be sensitive, and that you have to treat and raise this child a little different way. You may have this other child super independent, don't need anything. So that's again where and have a relationship with a different kid. So I don't think it's a cookie cutter to say, hey, if I do X, Y, and Z to each of these kids, I'm gonna get the same results. Because we all know that it's not the same. Different. So with that, it's
Could you say, like, as long as I give you a roof over your head, food over your table, is it kind of like that? That means I love you.
That's
Is it
just
like that?
a given. If I'm
That's
having
what
these
we
kids that
learned.
didn't come from here, that didn't ask to come here, then me and my partner, husband, should have already had this plan. Hey, we having this baby. What do we have in place that we're going to take care of this kid? So at least those the minimal things you can provide for the kid.
Oh yeah.
So if you provide for them, and then for that child, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can imagine both parts, the child and the
That's
mom.
why I asked, because I only knew one side.
A couple of years ago, where I wrote my kids a apology letter,
did.
where some of the things where I was feeling,
did,
oh my God, I dropped the ball on some things.
She
some things I
definitely
really,
did.
I'm my worst judge, and I kind of felt like,
She did.
in self-respect, man, I could have did this better. I should have did this, or maybe I shouldn't have did this. So I just wrote a letter, apologizing. I'm not perfect. I didn't make every perfect decision. So, I'm sorry. Please, forgive me for things that if I should have done and I didn't do, or if I did that, you disagreed with. But just to share my heart with my kids on, you guys are adults, but I want you to know that, hey, I'm not perfect. So not even knowing that a couple of years later we will all be on this self-discovery journey, looking back to say, you remember when Mama wrote us that apology letter?
You did.
I didn't even know that COVID would come and we would all pause and start, hey, what about my life?
Yeah.
But not being above, hey, I made some mistakes. Hey, some things I did wrong. I think that means a lot to kids to know, hey, you're not perfect. And it also allows them to have a safe space to say, I can make a mistake. But if all you see is perfect and perfect and perfect, you're not allowing that child to make any mistakes at all. So let them know that I could have told you something and I could have been wrong. Just because I'm a parent doesn't mean I'm right all the time.
That's true.
So I wrote the letters to say, oh my God, some things I got wrong. I'm
beautiful.
Sorry.
That's beautiful. So for a mom out there whose child may say, and I don't even know, well, as she was talking to her mom didn't take it so well. And she kind of got argumentative and was like, you're just looking for love and all around. Do you think as a mom, if you kind of hear that, should you just sit for a moment? Or what? Whew. Maybe if you don't understand it, you won't be able to give it.
I don't know the relationship. It could be more into that, not just that one thing, like all the particulars that even led up until them even wanting to commit suicide. So not having all of that insight, it's hard to give like an in-depth, but just to be available is what I can give to hear. Listen, but
apology at least, if that's how you felt. I'm sorry.
For you to give you the chance to, hey, this is how I felt growing up. I can at least give you that. Now give me a moment. Let me take that in, and if I don't have it right then, to come back to you. But every child should be able to come to a parent and say, hey, look, even though
I know, Mama.
It doesn't always go how you played it in your head. You got some parents that defensive, and so one of the things that I learned in counsel was just to accept apology that may never come.
Oh,
if
that was
you don't
beautiful.
feel that you can go to that parent, or if you don't have a person you can confide in, sometimes it just helps writing it down.
I've learned that
even
too.
if you got to write it and burn it, but just to get it out. Like sometimes, like I write and I don't share it with it because a lot of it's just stuff in my head that I just need to get out. It's not like I'm writing to help somebody else. It's just something that's within me. It's too much. I just need to get it out. Sometimes I can do it to tell my husband, I don't need you to solve it. I just need to say it. Your job is to nod and agree. Just to get it out, to say it, to help me. I'm not crazy. That was valid. Okay, now that it's out. Okay, I'm good.
Mom. That was beautiful.
But please, parents, allow space for your kids if they need to come to you. Or when they come to you, be available and allow that safe space. You may not agree with it. You may not know what to do with it. But hear their heart because it's their journey. You can't tell them what did or didn't happen unless you were there. So allow them that.
That's beautiful. Mom, that was a really good wrap up because that's not the only child that I've heard say that about mom or dad.
Right. Because a lot of parents, it's hard to admit that it was wrong or I did it wrong.
Okay.
But years ago, I learned, hey, I'm not perfect and I'm still learning. And even to more fast forward these years now, I'm learning like, oh my gosh. And then when I come to you with it, you was like, no.
It's okay.
Because Mom, if you would have had it there, was you ready? Do you think you would have been ready? Or how would you have known if you didn't have the tools? And I'm like, I'm trying to judge my parenting back then with what I know now. Oh, okay, you're right, Jamisha. Again, the mother becomes the student. So you just allow that back and forthness and open the door. Just allow the child to have a soft landing space that they can get their heart out. Even if you have to give me a moment and I'll get back with you.
Exactly, because I know that has to be hard.
I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Just like, God forbid if a child come to you and say that,
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with me and Mama Bear. I will be uploading another podcast with me, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and my Sissy Pooh. Hopefully tomorrow. So we had ended it by saying bye, but it stops at 59 minutes, 59 seconds. And so you didn't catch the last part where Mom was saying bye. So I'm going to go ahead and do my ending again, like I usually say. It is 7.9 billion people in this world, yet you met me. This is not by happen chance. This is a divine meeting. Maybe we got each other well. If life is like a school, what lessons did you learn today? What class did you take today? Did you pass or fail a test or pop quiz? If so, it's okay. Failing allows you to restudy any area that you're weak in so you could try again better than before and pass with a 100. Keep learning, evolving, and spreading love. And I hope you see the fruits of your labor. Namaste, love stay. I always vibe high, babes. And this is Earth. Sometimes you are going to vibe low, but just remember to get therapy, journal, talk it out, talk to someone, and bring your vibrations back up high. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. Bye. Thanks a million for listening. There's a million podcasts in the world. You clicked on this one, little on this one, to hear what I have to say. I hope universe has a special message for you. You can reach me on Linktree at /love.meesh. I hope you have a better than great day. Love ya. Talk to you later. Bye.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet, I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?